Now this year was interesting for the Cape Town Cycle Tour. It was shortened by quite a bit due to the fires that were getting blown across the peninsula. What kind of health effects would that have on the cyclists riding the tour, if any?
The important thing is obviously while the fires are still raging that you have an increased risk of allergies. Allergy sufferers, your allergic asthma sufferers, people with other chronic conditions like COPD or for instance cardiovascular disease, those people are at risk of complications of their diseases or symptoms of, for instance, allergies while the fire is raging, because your smoke contains it contains your carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, but then also very particularly it contains particles, materials mixed with fluids, and that can, depending on the size of those particulate matter, it can actually penetrate different levels of your lungs, and once it actually are small enough to be absorbed into the body, that is when it can be quite harmful. The downside of these particulate matters is you can't always smell them. So even though we don't smell the smoke anymore, even when we don't see the smoke anymore, it's not visible to us anymore. You know, the wind can blow through the vegetation that's been burned down, and those particulate matters can access the bloodstream or your system, your body, and it can have these effects. So hats off to the organisers. I think it was the right decision, not just from a risk with regards to the unstable environment, but also from a health point of view for shortening the race, because it could have had an impact on people with chronic conditions or who are prone to these conditions.
Now, not only for cyclists, but people who are living in the areas, what should they do to protect themselves, especially if you can't smell those particles in the air and you're just breathing them in because you live there?
The important thing is to, now in the weeks following this terrible fire, is to, try to not exercise outdoors. So if you have to cycle, maybe load the bike onto the car and go to an area that wasn't affected. So try to firstly not exercise in those areas. Try to keep the windows and the doors closed of the house, because, even though they are small particles and they may still be able to enter, you can reduce the number of particles that you inhale inside your house and your immediate environment. Interestingly enough, these particles can also cling to our clothes and in our hair. So if you did spend some time outdoors, maybe just take a quick shower when you get home and change your clothes, because the longer that you are in contact or have the risk of those particles being inhaled, the higher the risk for your health in the end.
Mariska, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Jennifer.